I've just put the caliper back on, haven't tightened the bolts yet. Of course, that's kind of important. We'll put the brake line back on in preparation to bleed the brakes. Yes, I know there's a torque specification for this. I'll let you guys look that up on real vehicles for today. Just get them good and snug. Back to the banjo bolt. Again, the one crush washer is still in place. The other crush washer is going to go here. We'll put the brake line back on before we release the fluid back into it. Make sure the brake line is, good and flat against where it needs to be. Okay, with that done. In fact, the bleeder is, I'm going to make sure the bleeder is still open. We can actually kind of gravity bleed. Let's see what happens if I just let gravity flow through. Maybe it'll just start coming out. That'll speed up the process. We emptied the caliper out pretty good earlier. Meanwhile, I think I'm just going to get rid of some brake fluid here. There's a hole drilled in the side and comes out. This down here is the actual seal. There's a seat inside there. I think we're coming out. Yep, fluid's coming out. Oops. Okay, we're full. We haven't got all the air out, but we're pretty full now. So again, we're just gravity flowing. See that? Close it off. And some folks get really upset if you don't use a little catch bottle for everything. I don't. I can always wash it down with some brake fluid or brake spray. Okay, hold that bottle please again. All right. Let's go ahead now. The first few pumps I'm sure are going to be clear to the floor because we've got air. So go ahead and pump the pedal 3 or 4 times. The brake pedal, yep, 3 or 4 times. Has it gotten any firmer yet? Good, it should. The first 1 or 2 are going to go clear the floor, and it'll only get better. Okay, while holding down, are you holding the pedal down? Okay, so while that person's holding down, I wonder if you can see. I'm going to open the bleeder. He's holding down. I'm going to take this off. I want you to see the bubbles. You can see some air bubbles as well as fluid. Here we go. See that? It popped and then had a couple more air bubbles. Let's do it again. Go ahead and pump it up. Holding down. It only takes 3 or 4 pumps. We're going to wait. Technically, you should wait about 10 seconds after he quits pumping. That allows the bubbles to rise to the top because that's where air wants to be. And we're going to open again. And you holding down? And here we go again. We'll probably see some air bubbles again. Not too bad. That bled fast. We're going to do it one more time for good measure. So pump the pedal again. Let off and pump it a few times. You holding down?
Yeah, that's good.
Good and firm?
Yeah.
Good. That means we're probably done. I want to make sure. So I'm going to open this bleeder one more time. Oh, that's in the way. I'll come over here. Oh yeah. Nothing but a straight fluid. I'm going to hose it down a little bit. Yes, I know brake fluid's corrosive, but it's not horribly bad. Okay, we're through with the brake bleeding procedure. That was fast because I pinched it off here. And all I had to do was bleed out a little bit of air. And you could see, really one bleeding got through the process. We did 3 just to ensure we had no air. We got a good firm pedal. I'm going to put, well, one last thing to point out. I like using 6-point wrench on a brake bleeder, especially to break one loose. Once I get it broke loose, I can use the open end. A 12-point, can you see the difference between a 12-point and a 6-point? A 6-point is going to fit all 6 sides of this bleeder, whereas a 12-point is only going to grab the corners. And if you've got a really tight bleeder, then it's going to round off the corners, and now you're going to be worse off than you were. You just can't buy a bleeder. Yeah, they have kits, but getting the right one often is not always successful. So a 6-point wrench is best. I'm going to make sure my bleeder's just snug down good. Whoops, wrong direction. Make sure it's tight, doesn't want to leak. I'm going to put the little dust cap on, and we're through bleeding. The caliper's tight. The next step, let's go ahead and turn the wheel so the wheels are straight ahead. Keep on a turning, and that works about there. Is the steering wheel horizontal? That's usually a good indicator that you've gone far enough. The whole objective of this little segment is to put the wheel back on. This car happens to have 5 lug nuts. Some of the smaller cars will have 4. Full-size pickups will have 6 or 8. 8 would be like a 3/4 ton or a 1-ton pickup. Be sure and start them by hand before you put the air to them. I like to use air because it makes life a little easier. You can destroy the threads in a hurry. I've already got this going clockwise. I've already turned it down to 1, the lowest setting. That's good. That's good enough, because that's enough to hold the vehicle weight now. We're going to lower the car and use a torque wrench to get these all the way to their correct tightness now. The whole point in torquing the lug nuts is so each lug nut is the same tightness. Historically, again, if one is left loose or one is too tight compared to the others, once this one, if it's loose, for example, it'll come off, and these neighboring ones, they can actually start working loose. So the uniformness, having all the lug nuts, tighten in a uniform fashion, is critical for them not to ever to become loose. These torque wrenches, we're going to explain how to adjust them so we can use them to tighten the lug nuts correctly. Now, this is a scale, the graduations for the foot-pounds. If you rotate it, you can use the Newton-meter side with the foot-pounds on this half of the scale, Newton-meters on the upper half. In order to adjust this where I want it to be, say 80 foot-pounds on this car, I'm going to undo the lock. Now I can turn this. And I'm going to set this to where I think this red line, or the scale, moves behind the red line. For example, I've got it on about 100 foot-pounds right now. In order to turn this handle, you have to pull this little silver sleeve down and then turn it. Okay. And you can line up the particular line that you're after. Maybe it's 100 foot-pounds, or maybe it's 85 foot-pounds. And again, we have these little numbers. When that zero's lined up in the middle with whichever little line that comes down, sits against the edge of the sleeve, this is adjusted correctly. I've chosen to use a short extension. Keep my knuckles off the wheel. I'm going to tighten in a crisscross pattern. We did that with the air gun, if you recall. And I'm going to tighten the first one until I hear it click. Now here's the detail. Does the fastener actually rotate before the wrench clicks? Too many times folks will just zip them down to the air gun, throw the torque wrench to it, it clicks, they think they're good, but did the fastener actually turn? Because if the fastener never turned and you had the click happen, you were too tight. The nut's too tight. We want to actually see it turn before that happens. Turn before that happens. That's why we turn the air gun to low. Notice the wheels on the ground too. The method of having a friend sit in the car seat with the brakes on is just really ineffective. This is more consistent. The wheel cannot move. Again, I'm going crisscross, sort of. And then I like to double check them. Go circular pattern, double checking. That way, I haven't missed tightening any of them. As far as the wheel cover, Again, these are plastic, okay? And quite often, you can just take your socket off. Take them down till you'll feel a little bump or a click. If you don't feel a click, just stop till it gets pretty snug, because you can strip these little threads out. But again, these are just plastic, decorative lug nut covers. Nothing special about them. It's just something to be aware of. And that right there should do it.